The Arecibo Observatory, Puerto Rico, September 2001. An astonishing beam of vivid blue light, bursting 43 miles upwards into the atmosphere. It's a spectacular natural event, known as a blue jet. Not much is known about these enigmatic jets, according to lightning expert George Karunas.
We're very familiar with lightning, these bolts of electricity that come out of thunderstorms. But there are types of lightning well above the thunderstorm that we know so little about. Blue jets are one example of that. Blue jets tend to go from the tops of thunderstorms up in a conical shape. Very, very bizarre, crazy type of lightning.
Blue jets are electrical discharges blasted into the atmosphere by thunderstorms. They travel 300 times faster than sound, erupting into the stratosphere for less than a second before disappearing.
That sliver of the atmosphere, we know so little about it. The only reason why we know these things existed in the first place is that there have been a few eyewitness reports from pilots flying at night seeing these strange flashes. And of course, that got the interest of scientists who have now verified that this effect does indeed exist.
Incredibly, the first recording of them was taken from an aircraft as recently as 1994. Beautiful but elusive, very few images of blue jets have ever been caught on camera. Joe Dwyer is head of physics and space sciences at the Florida Institute of Technology.
It seems sometimes like we know more about the backside of the moon than we know about our own atmosphere just a few miles over our heads. It's absolutely incredible that these gigantic discharges, they fill up the sky, they're bright enough to see. It's amazing that we didn't notice them until just a few years ago.
Using a Van de Graaff machine, Joe demonstrates the jets on a small scale.
We can use the Van de Graaff machine to illustrate lightning. We can also use it to illustrate blue jets and the color of blue jets. A spark here in air at sea level is very similar to the color of a blue jet slightly above a thunderstorm. Since I don't want to be the target of this thing, I'm going to plug in this sphere. That'll give it something to strike. I'm going to fire it up. Voltages are rising. I'll move the second sphere a bit closer. And there you go. The reason these sparks appear blue is that when electrons move through nitrogen, they bump into nitrogen molecules, which then emit blue light at this pressure. The nitrogen's being electrified. It's glowing blue.
Recently, weather researchers have had their first glimpse of blue jets that extend even further into the atmosphere. So large, they can be seen with the naked eye. These supersized events are known as gigantic jets.
About 10 years ago, we found out that there's this other thing in the upper atmosphere called gigantic jets. These are sort of blue jets on steroids. Instead of going 30 miles up in the atmosphere, they go twice as high, almost to the edge of space. Gigantic jets, as they leave the thunderstorm, they will look quite blue. But as the air gets less dense, as you go up towards space, nitrogen switches over from emitting blue to emitting red.
Want to see a gigantic jet? It's not easy.
What you need is a high mountaintop, if you're patient enough and you wait for your eyes to adjust to the light. And if you're just so lucky, you might get the chance to see this blue cone of light shooting out of the top of a thunderstorm. And if you do, you've witnessed something that very few people have.
Blue jets are extremely rare, but for those who do witness them, they're unforgettable.